Dear brothers, it's about quality, not quantity.
So guys, it should be your conversation, the way you flow, your presence is enough for a woman to want to be around you, not how much money you spend.
Dear sisters, it's about knowing your value.
My sisters out there, don't be afraid to scare a guy off just because you have standards.
Dear brothers, dear sisters, it's time to come together.
Hey, what up, my people, and welcome to DBDS Live, where mature conversations do exist. I'm your host, Mel Money, and I'm here with my partner, my brother, the accountable coach, Carl. Man, how you feeling, my brother?
Awesome, man. I'm telling you, it's March Madness.
Yeah, I know you're a Tar Heel fan, man. Look at you got on the sky blue, sweater. I see in the background, representing.
Oh yeah. We up big at the half. So hopefully by the time the show ends, we'll be heading to the Final Four. So, but yeah, I'm excited. It's March. It's spring. We've had the time change. So just like a relationship, things change. Things shift.
They do.
So we've got to adapt as the seasons change. We have to adapt. So I'm looking forward to today's show and just bringing the heat.
And that's what we do, man. We always bring the heat. And speaking of bringing the heat, listen, the last episode of DBDS Live was the Queen's Takeover series. And listen, that show touched on a whole lot of different issues, but it was mostly talking about, it's not about your feelings, it's about the children. And just those sisters to provide the advice they gave, to show the knowledge and wisdom. I just want to give a special shout out to Natima, Miyaka, Tanisha, Ivy, Deneen, because it's so refreshing of hearing sisters holding other sisters accountable and for them to speak their thoughts. And I just want to get your thoughts pertaining to that episode, because that was a phenomenal show, my man.
It was. It really touched on, I think, a sore topic that we have in society today. When a relationship ends, it's just like so many times the kids are stuck in the middle. And to hear from women the other side of things and how not to do that and how to understand, hey, we got to put the best interests of our kids at heart, it to the forefront. And I think a lot of times that doesn't happen. I think a lot of people are hurt, upset, and, can be bitter, whatever the case may be, that it didn't work out, but there's no need for the kids to suffer because of that. And just to hear the way they broke down things from a woman's perspective, but even that knowledge helped a lot of men, what they were dropping it, and how they can understand and see the other side of it and stuff. So yeah, I mean, big shout out to them for what they did. And again, it's going against the grain. It's, that they can, a lot of people may not accept what they're trying to say and say, hey, that's just you. But but I'll say this and we move on. They've got healthy relationships.
Yeah.
And, so start taking advice from people who are having healthy relationships and have talked about the work they've had to do versus people who can't keep anybody, or, some of these celebs that can't even stay faithful to their spouses and they're trying to give advice. That's the worst people take advice from.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, and I see some people up in the studio showing up. So shout out to Sabrina, Ronald, my man Kenneth, Sasha, Honey, Vil, Blake, Jessica, Tiffany, and Shamika. Thank you all for tuning in, by the way. Appreciate you showing the love. But you're right, man. That last episode really dived deep because it talked about, when it comes to co-parenting, there are some people out there that will use the kids as a pawn. Just because they're no longer with the father of the kids, or they're no longer with the mother of the kids. But that show solely focused on the side of our sisters, and just to hear our great sisters to give those advice to state like this is having a huge impact on your children. So we got to stop doing that. We have to. So if you guys did not get a chance to check out that episode, make sure you go to the DBDS channel on YouTube, hit the subscription button and notifications, and you'll be able to see that amazing episode as well as other content we got up there. All right. Speaking of content, we have plenty of content on our website. So if you want to get a coaching session from my brother, Carl the Coach, as well as myself, we're both certified coach, make sure you go to our website, which is dearbrothersdearsisters.com. And it has plenty of great resources and advice that can help you to become a better version of yourself. So speaking of that, today's show, we're going to dive right in. Today's show, we're going to talk about why pursuing or asking a man to marry you can change the dynamics of the relationship. Too many people are accepting this mother and child relationships, which I think is it's not balanced, and it's creating a huge impact in our relationships today. What you think about this topic, my man?
I think it's needed to have, again, one of those tough conversations. And you know, I know a lot of people may disagree and they say, hey, this is cool, go this direction, go, you know, do what you want to do. But there's just some roles that just should never be reversed, because it does change the dynamics and the landscape of the relationship when you do that. So I'm looking forward to it. I think this is going to be a great conversation. Looking forward to the amazing guests we got coming in, because they're going to really hit on some stuff with that too.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty excited. So let's go ahead and bring them right in, man. I'm really excited. So the first one coming into the DBDS Live studio, she is an author, therapist. I mean, she is such a dear sister to my heart. I'm so honored to have her back on the show. I'd like to welcome back my great sister Anita. Welcome back to DBDS Live.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we do have some new viewers coming into the studio. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and why you're on the show today.
My name is Anita Stoudmeyer. I am a licensed therapist by trade. That's what I do full-time, part-time, and online. I am a dating and relationship coach and a content creator. I have a podcast and a YouTube channel. I am an author and a speaker. And my platform is called Better Love Movement. I predominantly work with women. So I produce content for women and just helping women to embrace their femininity again.
Well, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show, because I know there's a lot of wealth of knowledge and wisdom that you can share to our sisters out there to help them become a better version of themselves. So thank you for coming back on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And next, coming into the DBDS Live studio, the sisters down to earth. You know, we're practically family, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her right in. My good sister, Patience, welcome back.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Honored to be here.
Yes. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you from, and why you on the show today.
Awesome. Well, my name is Patience Yabola. Originally, I'm from Ghana. I was born and raised there until probably like 14. I came to the States. I'm currently living in California, in Paris, with my fiance, amazing fiance, my king. Thank you, God. And my 8-year-old son. No, he's 10. I don't know why I always say he's 8. He's 10 years old. But you know, it's an honor to be here with Terrell and Carl, you guys. I love this show. I love last week's show. I watched the whole thing through, and it was just amazing. Thank you to the sisters. And I'm here because I just love the message and the platform that you guys have, and how you bring out the subject, but yeah, you bring out solution to try to create environment where people can learn, grow, and change if they wanted to, and hold people accountable to better life and relationship. I think that is so important. So thank you, guys, and I'm definitely looking forward to today's episode. So yay.
You know, we greatly appreciate the love and everything that you bring to the table as well. And you know, when you look at the landscapes of what you see on television as well, especially in our culture, it's not a lot of platforms that are offering solutions and offering great advice from Anita as well as yourself and great men out there. So just by you being a part of it, without you, there's no DBDS. So thank you for coming back aboard and on the show.
Mhm.
Right. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. I believe that this is a great topic, that we're going to discuss today because modern society promotes reversal roles on a consistent basis. And I feel like, especially in our community, and I feel like right now we at a point that certain sisters or some sisters accept these types of relationships based on, I'll say, the effect of external influences, or it could be due to their upbringing, which can have a significant impact on their relationships. And these mother and child relationships are not balanced compared to a partnership where both individuals are complementing each other, because truthfully, we are not the same, right? So, the first topic I would like to touch on is a man seeks out to find his wife.
Mhm.
I think this is such a beautiful picture. All right. So,
Mhm.
so my thing is that, usually when I share this with my sisters, I always state that the first time you see a man in a leadership position is how he pursues you,
Mhm.
based on your flirtatious output. And that includes making plans and communicating with you verbally and non-verbally that he's interested in
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
But for those things to happen naturally, you have to be a wife first in order for a man to find you. All right. So first, I'm coming to my sister Anita. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
So I agree with what you just said, which is um, that is how you're going to know that which energy a man is in.
Mhm.
Is he in that take initiative energy, or is he in the receiving energy or the
Mhm.
passive energy? That is 100% true. So, yes, I tell women start as you mean to go. If you want to attract and have a masculine energy partner, then you must be passive, patient, and vulnerable. You
Mhm.
must be the receptive partner. So you're going to respond and you're going to be open and receptive to him pursuing you. You're going to give back, but you're not going to lead the dance. And I always use the dance, analogy that, there is a person who's leading and there's a person who's following. And when we're doing that dance, it's amazing. When you see a man and a woman that are really great dancers, oh my God, it's amazing. It's an amazing thing to see. So that's what we're after, is the dance.
Mm. Very well said. Roll out a bomb already on that. Very well said. And I like you the analogy you use with the dance, because
Mhm.
normally when you see someone doing the tango or the waltz, is the man leading the dance.
Yep.
And I think it's graceful and it's beautiful that he is spinning that woman around and so forth. Um, I had never seen, I don't know if anyone within the group or in our studio can point to that direction. I never seen a woman spin the man around and lifting him up while he's, it just never seen that. But
Right.
I never seen it on Soul Train, so you think you can dance. But if we have seen it, you could point me in that direction. But it's off balance when it's that way. So next, I'm coming to my sister, Patience. What are your thoughts on this topic? What are your insights?
Wow. Well, for someone that is currently engaged, I think I can speak volubly, on this topic. I, for someone like myself, I grew up very independent. Um, I grew up I worked inside a state prison, California, for 19 years. And for me, I worked around male all the time. Sometimes I would be the only female supervising many men who were, have military history, have different type of history, and I'll be the only female, with them. And that never changed me as a person in the sense of being a feminine or carrying myself. You would never even know that I worked in that type of position, because I never lost myself in that sense.
Mhm.
So my goal in a relationship was always I wanted someone that was going to lead me, because I was always the leader in every aspect of my life. And when I met Floyd, that was one of my things. I didn't want to be in the driver's seat. I wanted to be on the passenger side with him and him leading me. And that was my goal. And I wanted that. So when we met, I think he is such an amazing person and human being anyways, that I knew, I think the fact that we both knew that we wanted to be married, and I wasn't wasting my time or energy, on someone that wasn't on the same page or on the same, scope like I was. So it made it very easier as time went by. We talked about it, and I remember when he had asked me for my ring size. And then I had told him that, I'll preferably go with him. I wanted to just look at the rings, pick out what I wanted, and then he can ultimately decide on what he want to get me. So we looked at different rings, left, So when the day that he proposed to me, I have no idea. We wake up in the morning, he made breakfast for me and my son and I, and he took us to the park. And then it happened, and it was a surprise. I never pressured him. I never, I knew that the day was going to come. I didn't know when it was going to come, but I was patient enough to wait. And when it came, it was so beautiful. And, our journey has been such a beautiful journey in a sense that like I said, naturally I'm a leader in my own ways, being a single mom for so many years by myself. But I saw the importance of having him lead me and lead our family. And that is so important. And you cannot take that away. Sometimes I pinch myself and I'm like, oh my God, like this is really happening. This man, he's not someone that I'm telling, oh, did you do this? Did you do that? I'm like, it's automatic and we're on the same page, So I think, sisters out there, be patient, honestly. And then when right one comes, you do not have to tell him what to do. He will know what to do when the time is right, on his timetable. And if he's not the right one, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Move on to the right one, because when the right one comes, you will know. And like I said, I'm on cloud nine, y'all. I mean,
we hearing. We can feel this in the show.
I'm on cloud nine with him because he's such an amazing human being and amazing partner. And he makes it easy for me to just be beautiful and do whatever I need to do as a woman. It's just be patient. That's all I got to say, and he will find you. Definitely. So.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that amazing story. And the key word that I noticed, patience, that you point out, no pun intended, patience. And, that's such a feminine characteristics of being patient and being still while that, allowing that man to show you his leadership capabilities, and a lot of people out there cannot tell the difference between someone that's controlling and someone that's leading, and you got a leader. So shout out to Floyd, by the way. Shout out to your amazing man. All right. So now I'm coming to my brother Carl. From a man's perspective, what insight you want to bring to this topic?
Well, I definitely agree with both my sisters, what Anita said and what Patience has said. Even what you were saying, Mel, with, this is the first time a woman gets to see a man in a leadership role. And I do, this is from what I've gathered and seen out there sometimes. And I tell women, I say, be cautious that you can't teach your man how to lead you. And in the moment that you do that, you take the relationship out of the dynamic it's supposed to be in. So just understand, let the man lead, let him do it. I always hear, they always quote the scripture. I brought up a different version of it, but they always, they want to quote, Proverbs 18:22. A man that finds a wife finds a good thing, but they stop. They don't read the full passage. That goes, he obtains favor with the Lord. So this understand, it's not about you, it's about that part. So in order for him to find a wife, you got to be a wife. Just like a man's got to be a husband before he's a husband. ladies, I encourage you to be a wife before your husband finds you. And I know it's a different dynamic, but it allows a man to see those things. And it doesn't mean give away wifely perks to a man that's not your husband, but allowing him to see that will allow men for us to choose better. So for somebody like me who's looking to find a wife, to find a partner, to find a queen, I'm looking for someone who has those attributes, and then from there deciding, you know, if there's real compatibility, is there the chemistry there? Because you can have all those things, you're just not a perfect match. You're not, and nobody's perfect, but you know what I mean. You don't have that match fully there. So, what we do, that is definitely a role for a man to play in seeking that out. Because I will tell you, if you force a man into a relationship, if you force a man to propose, they got this new terrible show that's on something Marry Me Now, whatever it's called. It's horrible.
Oh, wow.
It's horrible. You know, you're forcing a man to say, hey, will you marry me? He says yes, and then you got to get married right that split second.
Wow.
That's toxic. I'm sorry. That's really bad. And see, you're putting him on the spot, and he's going to do it. And some guys will do it to not embarrass you, but then the marriage doesn't last. And now you're like, well, you married me, and you'll never, you know, again, we'll deal with that topic. Hopefully we get to it towards the end, but, you know, one of the topics, but you'll never really respect him. You're not. You'll be upset. So don't put yourself in that position. We know, and I'm speaking as a man, husband come to my agreement. We know when you're the right one. And we will, and a man, not a male, it's two different things. A man is not going to take 5 years to propose. A man is not going to take that long. A male
20 years.
will take some time, like the good bishop that took 25 years or whatever it was to propose the old girl on the show. You know, that he was a male. I don't care. He's a bishop. I don't care. I'm just keeping it real. I don't care what you got to say to me about it. I'm just being real about it. He was a male. You don't take that long to propose to a woman and do all this other stuff. So I'm just being honest with that. But yes, as a man, allow us to seek you out. And in that process, you can have a timetable. And I believe that you should. That should be part of your standards as a woman. There's nothing wrong with saying with that, but you're not forcing him to marry you. He just knows if you say, hey, if you have a conversation 12 months in the dating and you're like, so where are we heading? We're talking marriage, and he's like, walk. No, don't walk around. I'm sorry. Don't walk around at that point in time. If he gets tongue-tied, you bounce. So that's all I got to say.
Man.
Amen.
I mean, very well said. Speaking of that, before I come up with a follow-up question for the panelists, I have a quick comment right here.
He says, Floyd said, because she allows me to be a man, it makes it easy to love her. She is feminine, and that was a must in order for me to have a desire to marry this incredible woman. It is a joy to love her.
Oh, man. Woo. Love it. Very well said, Floyd. Very well said.
Y'all go get her on.
Right.
No, for the audience, everyone can feel it. You know, love is in the air. I wish. That's amazing. That's amazing. So my question for the panelists, and I'll come to Anita with this. So, you know, I did mention that you have to be a wife first in order for a man to find you, which some may feel that is subjective. But what are some wifey qualities? Like some sisters are having a hard time attracting good men. I mean, what advice would you give them?
I talked with my client about this just the other day. I actually gave her a list of things that she should be working on to get prepared. And I shared with her about my journey. I said, you know, one of the things that God has spoken to me about was finances. And so I said, you know, I'm kind of preparing my finances. You know, I'm paying down some debt, and I'm just preparing myself financially so that when my husband makes his appearance, you know, he's not bogged down with a bunch of my debt. but I talked with her about all those different areas of her life. So her finances, her work, her time, her appearance, her mental health. I talked about being able to have some homemaking skills. You know, I gave her a long list of things that she should be working on to make sure that she's ready to be a helpmeet and not a burden. So that's why I
Mm.
shared a little bit about my story. I said, yes, I don't want to be a burden to my husband.
Mhm.
I want to be an asset. So I'm paying down all my debt. That's something that I'm managing before that time comes, so that when we meet, he's like, "Oh, okay, this is an easy choice, you know, that this woman hasn't run up a bunch of credit cards and run up a bunch of debt and expecting me to save her." No, not at all. I'm able to manage my life and my household well. And that is what I always tell women when they say, "Oh, well, I actually tell men this because they say, well, how will I know if she doesn't cook and clean and take care of my children?" No, she doesn't need to do that. She needs to do that on her own. So if
Mm.
you go to her house and her house is clean, if you are invited for a meal and she can cook, if her children are clean and orderly and mannerable, that's telling you the type of woman that she is. So if I'm doing that already, chances are I'm going to continue to do that if I marry you. Like that's how that works. I shouldn't have to go
Logic.
over to your house, right, and cook and clean and take care of your kids. No, I can do that on my own. You
Mhm.
observe that and you go, oh, it's nice in here. It smells good in here. Like chances are that's what I'm going to keep doing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's some of
True.
those things that you mentioned was what attracted me to my woman, my lady, my
Mhm,
wife, and
mhm.
she was that person
Yeah,
before we became a unit, and
right.
liked to cook, and she had a lot of homemaking skills, and
Mhm.
just a very down to earth person, you know. Um, her house was clean; it wasn't cluttered.
There you
That's
go.
that's very important to me because I'm a very neat person,
Right.
and I was like, wow, you know, she's the one.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like I was ending up with a sister that don't like to do those things and be like, hey, all you're gonna get is a hot pocket and I'm gonna boil you some hot dogs, you know. So I'm glad I'm glad you mentioned that, you know, because I think that's very important, you know, some wifey qualities. Coming to my sister Patience, same question. A lot of sisters, they, you know, having a hard time attracting a good man, and I stated you have to be a wife first. So what are some wifey qualities that you want to share with some of the sisters out there?
I think I definitely agree with Sister Anita. Definitely, I think like Flo shared the other day. When we met, I wasn't in a position where I was not dependent on him. I was my own person. I had my own career, my own home, my own, I my finance, like she said, like I had my life in order,
Mm,
So us coming together, it's not being a burden to one another, but really enhancing our life to the next level.
mm,
So I think that is so important as a being, whether you're looking to be a wife or whatever, but making sure, like she said, really having your life in order to the best of your ability, not, oh, I'm waiting for him to come to save me and pay off this debt that I have acquired over 10 years ago. Now, we get married now, that becomes my problem, having the ability, like you said, definitely take it the home, is when a person coming to your home, are you running to put things away, or is the home put together before anybody even show up to the
mm,
house? Is that how you live, or are you just this glamorous person, and then when the person walks into your home, they don't even want to use the bathroom because they haven't been cleaned, and your underwear, I mean, you go into
right.
some, I'm telling you, that's how some
No, you're
people live.
keeping it
They look
real.
beautiful outside, but yet, home is a mess. And for me as a woman, when my home is not in order, I don't feel like I'm in order, So I
Mm,
really, it's important. Children, my son, Floyd fell in love with my son because when it's important that my son is respectful, to whoever is around, whether we're in a dating relationship, we're just an adult period. And that was important to me. So we made sure that those values were instilled in him, because again, when the man comes in, it's a union. He's not just marrying you, he's marrying the children also. So, or that dynamic also have to go together. It's like just all those things have to really, you got to sit down and make sure that those things are in order. Cook. I'm not the best cook in the world, but guess what? I try. you know, I mean, Google, YouTube. Trust me, you go on there, they will show you from A, B, to wherever food you want to cook in the world, they will show you. You know, and it's as simple as that. I didn't grow up in the home where I had a mom and dad, or my mom, to teach me how to bake or do anything, but again, you put the effort into, you try, and you're able to, accommodate or accomplish, because again, sisters, the men have to be able to come into that home and feel at peace. The world is going to beat them down, and you should be their peace to come home to. So if you're not peaceful and you can create environment for him to come into, what does he need that? He could stay out there, and deal with the BS or whatever out there, So your home, you as a being, you have to be in a place that they can come to for that peace at the end of the day, So I think it all go together. I definitely agree with Sister Anita. Definitely everything she said is on point. So please get yourself together, get your dogs in order. If you have financial issues, get it together. If you can't cook, learn to make spaghetti on website. Those are easy stuff to make. Don't just look beautiful outside, but look beautiful inward and at home. Because that's what, if you look at the Proverb 31 woman, everybody want to always go to that. But she wears so many different hats, and yet she was able to do it all, And I think that's something that we can still wear all the hats, and be that woman for our partner, or that the men that we, are seeking to marry as, have the career, have everything, and still yet I have a full-time job. I'm a full-time mom, but I've always been that way. And when Floyd came in, I was in a position to be able to, blend in with his life, to make his life easier, not complicate things, So definitely be an asset, not a burden. That's I'm going to leave.
Very well said. Okay. All right. Before I go to you, Carl, I just want to piggyback to Anita. Before I go, just want to get more perspective from the two sisters. So I know we touch on finances. I know we touch on, the home, clean, and the home making skills as well. What about characteristics? And I'm going to touch on Carl about that after I get to your insights on this. But I'll come first to you, Anita. Like, a woman that's using excessive profanity or things like that. I mean, how are you? I'm just throwing that as an example, but do you think a woman's characteristics is just as equally important as the other things you mentioned for wifely qualities?
For sure. Character is everything. And I teach this to men and women, that you have to observe and determine a person's character. So I would say things like kindness. A person has integrity. A woman who is most definitely feminine, meaning she's collaborative and cooperative, open and receptive. Okay. She manages her emotions well. I work with a lot of women on emotional regulation. And although men and women are wired very differently, and that's okay, I still help women to have good emotional regulation. Like being a woman and having a time of the month, that's no excuse to be screaming and yelling and cursing all the time. Like you can learn how to manage your emotions. So that's a big one, and just having good, healthy mental health, taking good care of yourself, taking breaks if you need to, or if you get upset, just taking breaks, saying, I'm getting upset or I'm triggered. I need to take a break from this conversation. that will be well received over screaming and cursing and yelling.
Mm.
So, yes, the person on the inside should be mature, okay? Should be kind. Yeah, she should manage her emotions well. Yeah, character is everything. So it's that as well.
Thank you for sharing that, my sister. And Patience, just share your insights right quick before I go to Carl with that same question. What are some wifely characteristic traits that you think can help our sisters out there?
Well, I wrote some few things down. Some of the stuff I wrote down was be caring and compassionate. You know, you have to be
Mm.
caring and compassionate about your spouse needs. You know, another one I put down like sensitive to being sensitive to your partner's little needs. You know, because like she said, women and men are wired differently. You know, and some of the things that we're able to sometimes we don't think men are sensitive, but they are sensitive, you know, in so many different ways. Even just complimenting your man, you know, you look nice, you know, I like that or whatever, you know, being able to do those things for him. Encouraging your husband. I mean, we have to be, as a wife, well, you have to be their best cheerleader out there, you know. So be able to be an encourager to that person. And ultimately being respectful to your spouse, you know. I think respect is like one of the biggest things that, as you know, women, especially if you're an independent type of woman and you have done things on your own, having respect for that man goes a long way to be able to be himself and love you and do the things that he needs to do. And then as you know, wifey, you have to be able to put your family first. You know, if you think about the Bible, how it goes, you know, God, obviously your spouse, your children, and then the rest of the family, and not putting your family or your friends, you know, living the life you used to live before you became a spouse, but putting that spouse first, you know, other than God, and making sure that, you know, their needs are being met. And that ultimately one thing to being the best friend and lover to that person. I think, you know, like I was telling Flo, when I first met him, honestly, I was like, oh, I have my best friends, you know, I already have best friends, but I didn't know him. And now I can say, like, you're my best friend because we talked about everything, you know, we talked throughout the day, we share everything. If something good or bad happened, I'm calling him, we're talking about it, we laughing, whatever it is, just, you know, being that for that person, you know. And then as a woman, another thing, being a good problem solver, you know, because, you know, as a woman, there's a lot of things that's going to come our way, and he needs you to be able to just, you know, help out and pick up those things that coming our way, you know, in the home or whatever it may be in life, you know. So I think those are some of the qualities that I can come up with that I just feel like is definitely, you know, needed.
Okay, thank you so much. I definitely want to get your insights on this because a lot of sisters, we always hear that. Carl and I hear that majority of the time, you know. So coming to my brother Carl, man, from a man's perspective, what do you consider are some wifey qualities? You know,
Well, I'll be honest with you, they really hit the nail on the head
nothing.
on everything. Because all of that ties into what most men say: be our peace, respect and peace, and all of those things fall that they listed creates that environment. We don't want to come home in war, you know. So if they're creating the things that these two wonderful women had just said, there's nothing else really out there. I will say this though: women need to decide though whether they're going to be a modern day wife or a traditional wife, because that will decide who you attract. Because you can't be, and I'll keep saying, you cannot be a modern day white woman and want to be a modern day woman and want a traditional man. It's not going to work. It won't. There's a lot of reasons, and I'm not going to try to go into the whole show with this, but it's not going to work. So you have to decide what you want. And if you're going to be a traditional wife, and you know you need a traditional man, it just goes easier. I mean, you can have certain traits of both, but whatever your strong trait is what you need to marry. So that's just the biggest thing. And I think that'll help a lot of women today. Not wanting things, you know, and again, you have the independent woman, they want all these different things. And you know, they're making their money, they're doing this stuff. And again, I applaud all of them for that. But how does that affect the mate that you choose if your thing is, I'm not going to stay home and take care of the kids, I'm not going to cook, I'm going to take care of my career, and yet you want a traditional man to take to provide for the household. Now you're adding daycare, now you're adding all this other stuff that doesn't need to be added onto him. So just an interesting tidbit on that, because like that will decide the type of man that you attract and the type of man that you need to be with at that point in time. But definitely the way what the sister said, I mean, all that stuff is about peace. All that stuff is about respect. You know, I always say, you know, and ask your man if he's happy. I tell you, I did a workshop. 100 men were sitting in there, and I asked them, you know, and most, you know, I went through it. I was married 20 years. My ex never asked if I was happy through my marriage. And out of those 100 men, 2 raised their hand and said they've been asked in a relationship if they were happy. 98 were never asked. So that's, you know, so those little things right there as being a wife, you know, yeah, we want, you know, and we know it. You know, everybody says, hey, we're supposed to be men, go to work, grind, take care of the bills, take care of the house, change the oil, change the tire, all this stuff. You know, that's what's expected of us. But, you know, a thank you goes a long way. You know, he comes in and you say, babe, I appreciate you going out there and fighting the wolves all day for this family. And just, I'm telling you, it goes a long way. And when you're operating, I would say the right woman with the right man is going to increase his net worth, not just financially, but everything. And he's going to want to fight even harder. When you bring peace to him and respect to him and you thank him, that appreciate, believe me, that man is going to go to war for his family every single day.
Okay. Man. Okay, the entire panel dropped the mic on that one. I appreciate that, you know. Yeah, I mean, for the people that's watching the show, I mean, I know we have a lot of, you know, Cardi B fans out there and you know, with the culture and everything. But listen, I don't want you to come across and state like, I don't cook, I don't clean, but I got the ring. You know, we want you as a collective unit, we have to do the work, right? All jokes aside, we have to do the work in order to become a unit, right? So before we go to a commercial break, we have a few comments. So I'm gonna come here to my brother Eric right here.
He said the problem is many women are falling for boys instead of men.
Yeah, you have a point, man. I mean, males and men, and we'll break down that further throughout the show. My brother Floyd.
He said, Anita, one of the things that my future wife did was prepare me to be in our son's life. She placed him in a position for her son to allow me to be a father figure in his life.
Awesome.
Right?
Okay, brother.
Yeah.
By teaching him respect, even before I came into their lives. I didn't have to fight for that position. I was able to step in because of her getting him ready for me to enter into their lives.
Awesome, brother. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then Eric, before I married my wife, I shared with her, our home is our sanctuary. My request was to avoid trying to discuss issues as soon as I get home. Give me some time. Allowing a man to be a man, which means so many sisters are successful and educated. They have had to be assertive, have been assertive. However, men like a certain level of softness, not weakness, but softness.
Okay. Wow. Okay, the sisters agree with you, Eric. Okay. So listen, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll go ahead and discuss the rest of the episode. So sit tight. This is DBDS Live.
Are you single? Do you know about dbdssingles.com? Are you ready to meet a quality man or classy woman? The DBDS brothers want you to know that love and loyalty still exists. So if you're ready to meet relationship-ready people, sign up today at dbdssingles.com. Let's make love and loyalty dope again.
Hey, welcome back to DS Live. And listen, we having such a great conversation. We are talking about why pursuing or asking a man to marry you can change the dynamics of the relationship. I'm here with my sister Anita, my sister Patience, and my brother Carl the Coach. And this is such a great conversation to have because it needs to be put out there in order to help us as a unit to become better at being better men and better women. So before we can continue, I'd just like to give some shout outs to those that are watching the show. My sister Latoya just came into the studio. Appreciate that. My brother Ronald, Stacy, thank you for tuning in. And we have a quick comment here on the screen, and I'm going to bring this up and see what my brother Eric just stated.
No, you didn't. He's talking about your Cardi B. Cardi B is a bad influence because she's from that I have hips and thighs, so I deserve everything, and all I have to do is show up.
Hey, brother, I never said she was a good influence. I just stated that, hey, I know there's a lot of people that like her, but I never sound like her. But that's another debate here and there. So listen, we're going to go ahead and continue the show. And the next subtopic that I would like to touch on is, drop the handkerchief instead of pursuing a man. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and cue this up for our audience right quick. So in my book, Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters, Listen Up, I have a concept in which I describe as the tennis theory. So, in order to have a good match with a potential suitor, the first step is to allow him to serve you the ball. And by you returning that ball back, that means that you are reciprocating or that you're interested. However, the best outcome is always allow him to serve first. So you don't have to play the entire match with someone who barely shows up on the court. Right? So I would just want you guys to think about that. So first, I'm coming to my sister Patience. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
Oh, okay. Let him show up, right? Basically. Wow. I mean, obviously, I don't even know what to say because at the end of the day, I think if you want, if it all depends on what you're looking for. I think like Cara said earlier, you have to know what you're looking for, whether traditional or Martin. What are you looking for, first of all, in the men? And are you looking for a leader, or are you looking for someone that you're going to have to take care of and lead the relationship? So once you decide that and you know what you're looking for, then obviously that makes it easier for him to throw the ball, for you to catch it and then throw it back at him and let him lead. Just like I think I said earlier, like Floyd and I, when he took me ring shopping, I picked out what I wanted and I just left it alone.
Hey.
I just left it alone and said, okay, the ball is in his court now,
Awesome. Okay.
Out of 3, 4, 5 rings, whatever one he picks, so whenever he decides, then amen, it is what it is, So I think a lot of times, again, it all goes back to knowing what you want and being patient and waiting for that. And let that the men have to lead. I'm going to read a scripture real quick. I'm going to get a little religious here. And this is in the book of Ephesians 5:25. It says, husbands, love your wife just as Christ loved the church and give himself up for her to make her holy, cleansing her by washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church without a stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. In this way, husbands are to love their wife as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. After all, no one ever hated their own body, but they feed and care for their body just as Christ does the church, right? So, and then of course it goes on and on and on. But again, the man is the head of the home.
Mhm.
But if you believe in the Bible and that's your standard, and that has to be your standard, allowing that man to lead, be the head of that your life when you decide that that's the route that you want to go. So when you meet that man again and he throw the ball to you, you throw him, you acknowledge, yeah, I like him, this is the one, and so far, let him lead that relationship. And by him leading, the example is set right there. Because he loved himself, he's gonna love you ultimately, just like he loved himself. He's not gonna hate himself. So if he goes to the store and he buy himself clothes, he's not gonna leave you naked
Mhm.
because you are him.
Wow.
So let him, sisters, if you're out there and you are searching for that one, and you found him and you believe that that's the one, let him lead. Throw that ball back at him and sit back and let him lead. And if he's not the one, then again, like I said before, move on. Find that man, the one that is gonna, again, lead you to the relationship that you both want. So again, find out whether he's a man or he's, like you guys been saying, is he a man or what is he?
A male.
A male.
Very well said. All
That's
right.
right.
Appreciate that. And that's the key point. Because here's the thing to my sisters out there, and this is prior before he becomes the spouse. And the thing is that how you start the relationship is more than likely how the relationship is going to continue. So if you're the kind of sister that's always chasing and you're the one always serving that ball in the tennis court, chances are you're going to be playing by yourself. You're not going to have a fantastic match with someone like it's not going to be like a Serena and Venus match where the set that is going back and forth at a loving, great relationship. You're going to get depleted. And you're going to lose all that energy by playing that on the court by yourself, hitting the ball, and the other brother just dropping the rack. Right? So I'm coming to my sister Anita. What are your thoughts on this topic?
So modern day women have lost the art of flirting. And it's shocking to me. This is one of the things that I work with a lot of women on when I'm coaching them is how to flirt. Like it's shocking to me that they've lost the art of flirting and how to get a man's attention, get his eyes on you to at least determine if he wants to pursue you or approach you or not. Like that's really it. And the truth is, and I tell women this all the time, if a man has seen you, if he's spoken to you at an event, if he's aware of you wherever you all are, and he chooses not to come up or not to pursue, you're not to take it personally. There could be 1,000 reasons why he did not, but you move on. You find the man that is interested in you, but your only job really is to flirt and to reciprocate. So I'm flirting, and if he approaches me, I'm going to reciprocate him approaching, or, oh, I'd love to call you. Great. Here's my number. He calls, I respond, like it's a little dance. Once again, it's a dance that we're to do. But a lot of modern day women don't know how to flirt. They use the same skills that they use to get their job, to get their degree, to get their house, to get their car. They use that in romance, and it does not work. Those skills do not work. And so, yes, reclaiming your femininity, especially in your romantic relationships, learning to be passive, patient, and vulnerable, and being open and receptive. That's your role. If you're going to be the feminine in the romantic relationship, that's your role, is to be the feminine, be open and receptive, right? And presenting yourself. That's another thing I talk to women about. You're not in a position to even present yourself. You're not going out. You're not being social. You're not, your page. A lot of people meet on social media,
Right.
and your page is private. So again, that's not very open and receptive. If a man were to look at your page and was like, oh, wow, I would love to, comment under some of her photos or send her a DM, so you have to present yourself. But that's really it. That's a woman's role. And a man will bite or not, You know, I've had a man pursue me, or I shouldn't say pursue. I've had a man like me from afar for 4 months. It took 4 months for him to eventually say, hello, and I'd like to take you to dinner and this, that, and the third. I mean, and he was rewarded for doing that. But the truth was, I was not going to ask that man out. I was not going to ask for that. Was not going to happen. So either he was going to step up, which he did, or it just wasn't going to happen. I am the girl. And I always tell women that, be the girl in the romantic relationship.
Man. I just had to drop the mic on that one. Here's another tip for my sisters out there. You see what I'm doing? Smile. You know?
Yep.
That is so part of that feminine essence is that smile is very inviting compared to the skull that you have and everything like that, which is confrontational. So not just verbally, but non-verbally, you can show that flirtatious side as well. You know, so I'm coming to my brother Carl. Man, great advice from the sisters. They dropping mics, bombs. I mean, what are your thoughts on this, my man?
I'm gonna get in trouble, so I'm already. Let me take a sip. Let me take a sip. So I say this respectfully, really I do. But this is a term that I use. I've been using this for a minute. Drop a handkerchief, and it to me it came back from the old English days, and women were taught. I hate to use the word taught, but women were groomed to how to get a man, cook, all these different things in the old days. There's a TV show called Bridgerton. I don't know if people watch this on Netflix. It actually really talks. It deals with what's missing in today's relationships. But as a woman, if you saw a gentleman, you're a lady, you see a gentleman, and you're interested, she would simply drop her handkerchief in front of the man, and he would pick it up, and he knew what that meant. Now, if he chose, depending on the way he handed the handkerchief back to her, depending on whether he was interested or not, it was just that simple. And so, Anita, you hit it nail on the head. Women don't know how to flirt today. So like when I hear these women say, "Well, I'm waiting on God to send me a man," and I'm like, so if you're gonna sit in the house and watch Netflix all day, the only person who's coming to your house is a mailman, maintenance man, and a robber. And a robber. So which one are you waiting on to marry? That's all that's coming to your house because you're not leaving the house. And again, if you don't position and again, go back to what we talked about in scripture, man, finds a wife, he finds. I can't find you if you don't present yourself to be found. So if you're not willing to drop her handkerchief, if you're not willing to position yourself and put yourself out there for gentlemen to approach you, that's an issue. It's just like DMs, they would stay out my DMs, this and this. And okay, I respect that if that's what you want. But if you're not, what are you doing to be found? What are you doing? And then you sit and say, there's no good men. Nobody's asking me out. I haven't been on a date in 5 years or 15 years or 20 years. That's on you. Because if you've never positioned yourself for a man to ask you out, that's a problem. And then I tell everybody, you can have standards, have your standards. Preferences are preferences. They're not your standards. But to me, preferences are, I want a man that's 6'2", 6-pack. I want a woman that's 5'2", size 4. I mean, those are preferences. Sometimes you have to look at your preferences and make sure you're not missing out on somebody. Every man that approaches you, ladies, is not running game. I'm so tired of hearing that. I'm so sick of hearing it. I'm just keeping it real. There are some men literally that come and help. I literally was a lady in a grocery store one day, and she just kept looking up and looking up. I'm 6'2". She might have been 5 foot on a good day if you stretched her. And she kept looking up, and she's looking around, looking up, and all these guys walk by. I picked up on it. I didn't want anything. And I said, what do you need from the top shelf? And she was like, thank you so much. And she's like, when you ask a man to do that, then he wants your number. And I was like, well, I don't want your number. What do you need? And kept it moving. And she laughed and we kept moving. I said, trust me, every man's not going to want your number. I said, it will help. But maybe she, and she was like, and I was like, well, are you single? And she's like, yeah. And I said, well, you might miss out on your husband not asking for somebody to get something off the top shelf for you. So I'm just being real about it. But yes, but allow the man to pursue. There's nothing wrong showing interest. Just like someone would say, oh, I'm not, I hate rejection. Do you, Mel, you'll back me up on this. Do you think we like rejection? we go through it all the time. But y'all
all the time.
No, we're not. I mean, I know when I was younger and there was girls that I wanted to date and they said no, I would go home and cry. I'm not afraid to admit that. It hurt. I'm like, hey. Especially if you ask her out in front of her friends and everybody's there and you're thinking, okay, and it's 20 people there. Now you're the talk of the town the next day in school. No, we don't like rejection either.
No.
But are you missing out? Because like I said, some women will say, well, like his post, comment on his post. I'm a single man. I have hundreds of women that like my posts and comment on my posts on a regular basis. You're not going to stand out unless you do something that puts you in a position to stand out. I don't know if you like me or not. Even if I'm interested, I don't really know what's going on. So if you kind of jump in my DM, there's nothing wrong. Showing interest first, ladies. There's nothing wrong telling a gentleman you're interested. He's attractive. I like the cologne you're wearing. I'd like this. Hey, I would like to get to know you. There's nothing wrong with that. After you do that, get out the way.
Right.
And now the pressure's on him to take the lead, to pursue you. And if he doesn't do it right, he's not the man. You didn't lose anything.
Right.
But if he pursues you right, now you a Jared's. Like Patience, picking the ring out and just step back out the way and let him go get the ring. You see what I'm saying?
Well, very well said, my brother. And just for the audience, just to break it down, a male and a man, they're two different species, right? So my philosophy is all it takes for a male to be a male is his physiology or design makeup, But to be a man is being a provider, it's being responsible, it's being supportive, it's having integrity, it's being a leader. Two different. And these days, too many of our sisters are bringing males home and not men home. So, but we're going to go ahead and pivot to one more topic because we are running short on time, and we appreciate everyone sticking with DBDS Live. Really appreciate it. So the next subtopic that I want to touch on is, first, let me just get this banner off. And that will be this picture, man. Takes a woman out of her feminine state. Man, look like she's about to hawk up on this little brother. So, let me size this up right here. So my thing is, to my sisters out there, if your goal is to attract a mature, masculine man who loves the fact that he's a man, then you have to, be a much easier time going along with nature rather than trying to go against her. Because you as a woman have two options. Really, you have two options. You can either fight against nature and work your tail off to convince that man to accept you based on modern society that you have to be more masculine, or you can accept nature and work on enhancing your feminine qualities. And I believe the latter will be a lot easier because the reality is masculine men are not attracted to masculine women. Because there are no sexual polarity, right? So first, I'm coming to my sister Patience. What are your thoughts on this topic? Because again, you don't want to be in this picture, right? You want to be tough, all right? So I'm coming to my sister Patience.
No, I don't want to be. No, I don't want to be that picture. My man is enough already. I like him be that way. No. I mean, wow. No, I mean, definitely. I think it goes back to, like what I said, the type of environment that I've worked in and the type of men that I've been around. And for me to still, again, you see me, you won't think like I've been around. I wear boots, carry guns, utility belt every day of my life for the past, it was 19 years, you know. But I've never went to work without wearing makeup or without having my hair done. I've never done that before. I've always carried myself because I know I'm a woman, and there's nothing about me that screams a man. So I love makeup. I love embracing what God created me to be, and that was a woman, to be a mother, to be a wife, to be a daughter, and that's what I am. And so I think again, it's so important, sisters. When you meet that, like this morning, it was funny because I didn't even know about this topic until later on this morning. But Floyd and I were talking, and I was just telling him, and I said, you know what? One thing I appreciate about you is you allow me to be myself. You don't put no pressure on me to be anybody other than what I am, who I am, what I was created for. You know, I don't feel insecure being around you. You don't make me feel insecure. And I don't need to prove anything that I'm not to you, you know. And he loves the gym, you know, so that's his thing. He goes to the gym, he lifts weight, he's the muscle one, you know. And me on the other hand, I'm like, you gotta have something smooth and soft to touch, you know. But I don't know. I think honestly, embracing our feminine, being that woman, you know, wearing that sexy lingerie, you know, getting your hair done, getting your makeup, whatever it is as a woman that makes us as a woman, I love it. And I never tried to be a man because that's not who I am. That's not what I was created to be, you know. So if you really want to attract that man, and that's again knowing the type of man, some men like, you know, women looking that way. That's some men do, but majority of the men, I'm sure, don't want that. You know, they want to be right, they want to be, you know, be with that woman that, hey, this is a woman, you know, and I'm the man, and be able to complement each other the way that God created us to be, you know. So there's nothing wrong with, again, going to the gym, lifting weight, and looking nice, but that doesn't mean that you, the one, lead the relationship and take over that relationship. Is that man's job that God, that's what he was created for. And you have to allow him to lead. Again, if he's not the one, then you got to find the one. You got to find your one and let him lead you, you know, and build that relationship that you were meant to be, and lived out that feminine, being that beautiful feminine that you were created to be, you know, the mother, the wife. I mean, it's so beautiful. So I mean, I love it. I love being a woman, and I love being feminine. I love
I love hearing you say that, sister. That's why I had to drop the bomb. I appreciate it. And speaking of that, I mean, I always use this as an analogy. You know, if someone breaks in your home, allow that man to protect you. It's his job to go downstairs to see who's coming into the home or whatever the case may be. Don't be like, no, you stay in the bed, and he's all scared. You going downstairs. That's his position. You know, if anything happens to him, you know, nurture him back to health, help him, you know. So coming to my sister Anita, you know, what are your insights on this topic? Take some women out of her feminine state.
So men are built for war, and women are built for childbirth. I've always stated that. So men have been going to war for thousands of years, and women have been birthing babies for thousands of years. Very different, very traumatic. Okay, but very different. And I always tell men and women when they get on their soapbox about, oh, the men have it easy, the women have it easy. We both have our cross to bear. We both have our cross to bear, right? We are equal in value, but wildly different in nature, right? We are equal in value as people, but we're wildly different in our nature. And so here's what I know for sure. When female clients come to me and they've been in their masculine for a long time, they are run down, they are tired, They are overwhelmed. They're aging. They don't look as good as they did, and
Right.
their mental health is not good. We're not designed to be in that position. And so when they come to me and they're wore out, I'm like, because you're doing something you were not designed to do.
Mhm.
I've had a single birth and a twin birth, and have bounced clear back,
Mhm.
because that's what I'm designed to do.
Mhm.
Mm.
Okay, easily.
Mhm.
So, but yet, my husband's like, no, you can have that. Like, I wouldn't want that. He wants the provider and protector role. That's what he's designed to do.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'll take that any day. But we just have to want to embrace that. We have to want to embrace that and do that dance, that polarized dance that says we are perfect complements to each other. Right? We're not going to say we have it worse. No, we have it worse. No, we both have our cross to bear, but we perfectly complement each other. So yes, ladies, trust me when I tell you, femininity is for you. It is not for men, it's for you. I
Mm.
feel relaxed. I feel light and free, and I have fun.
Mhm.
I look youthful. Things just go better when you embrace your femininity and stay on that side of the fence. Things will go better.
Mhm.
Mm. Okay.
Agree.
Very well said. Thank you so much for sharing that, my sister. Yeah, and I have noticed that. I mean, some of the sisters that I've talked spoken to, they're more stressed out. They're
Right.
more seem like they're more exhausted and depleted. Some even admitted to me that they have a hard time showing affection to their kids.
Mhm.
So wow, I mean, everything that you stated, it just hit so many different points that I'm glad you brought that up. Coming to my brother Carl, I mean, from a man's perspective, how does this take a woman out of her feminine state? What are your thoughts on this?
It does. I mean, both Anita and Patience hit it again. They've said pretty much everything with that and how that affects the dynamics of a relationship. But yeah, if you're doing the pursuing, if you're doing the chasing of a man, I hate the word chasing, pursuing of a man, I'll leave it that way. Well, you could be chasing a man because he doesn't want to be bothered with you. So that's the other side of it. He's running away from you because you're masculine.
Yeah.
And that's true. So if you continue, it's one thing if you show your interest and the man's not reciprocating, move on. It's
Mhm.
just that simple. It's a move on, because if you continue to do that, it's a red flag to us as men. That okay, if she's not getting her way, she's going to continue to go with this. So now, how would that affect my relationship with this individual? If I'm married to her, and as a man, and I'm leading, and I'm saying, well, we, financially, we don't need to do this, or we don't need to buy this, or we don't need to invest in this. Is she going to come at me this way with this? It's just like the whole alpha male, alpha female. There can only be one alpha. And so if you come in and say, well, I'll just turn it off when I get home, I don't know alpha women that can turn it off when they get home. It's journey impossible. It's going to carry into your situation. And I'll say this too with femininity. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that a man's trying to control you. It doesn't mean that a man's going to look down on you. You see this narrative on social media, and it's troublesome that some of y'all will take advice from single toxic people that you see list themselves in a relationship 4 different times in 1 year with 4 different people. But you won't listen to people who have been certified and licensed or who are married trying to give you advice. You'll circulate a meme that has no meaning behind it simply because it's a meme that looks good and cute. But I'm going to tell you something. Women, I'm telling you real simple, everything that you post, you are being interviewed on by men. Even males are interviewing you. They just doing it for a different reason. But men are interviewing you for another reason, and you're being eliminated. Women keep saying men pick better, men choose better, men do this better, and we are. And that's why some of y'all not being picked. That's why some of y'all not being chosen, because we are making those decisions because you're not acting feminine, you're acting masculine. Don't bring a man that you because you want to be masculine. Don't do that. You can, just because men have done you wrong, or you've gone through all these different things and you've had to step up and do stuff. I always hear this thing. When my ex left, I took care of my sons. I raised my sons, no help from her, nothing. I never acted feminine. I raised my sons. So when I hear people say, well, you're a single mother, I can see why you're masculine. Why? Why is that an excuse? And it might have been you stayed single longer because you were acting masculine. So staying your feminine state is your best option to attract a masculine man. And masculine, and for men, it's not about being controlling. Right? It's not about doing that. We want partners. We want a partner. We want somebody to build with. Masculine men want partners. Masculine men want somebody that they can be there and talk to and grow old with. Masculine men want somebody who is going to be supportive of them. Masculine men want somebody who will listen to them. They want somebody they can be vulnerable with. That's what masculine men are looking for. I can't do that with a masculine woman because I'm bouncing. My muscles are bouncing off your muscles. You know, I don't want to come home to a woman who can pick me up and say, "Oh, hey, baby, you're home." Right. That's what I'm saying. I walk through the door from work, and you picking me up. I'm 6'2", 225, and she picking me up. It's a problem. Let me pick you up. Down, guys. Let me pick you up when you come in from work. But I don't want to be with that, you know. And I know that's an extreme, but that's what it comes off like. You know what I'm saying? So definitely being in your feminine state is definitely beneficial to you on that.
Oh man, well said, my brother, man. Well said. I appreciate that. And here's the thing. I mean, you know, that feminine essence is just as powerful as the masculine energy, you know, because a woman is an inspiration to a man's actions. I'll say it again. A woman is an inspiration to a man's actions. Right. So we're going to pivot to our Jerry Springer moment because we went over time. So we appreciate everyone joining. I do see you, Elisa, Bridget, Tamika, Charity, Shantavia, Linda, Alicia. If I miss your names, thank you for tuning right in. I will. Wow. I have to post this comment up here.
She-Hulk.
You're a mess.
And so I said, a lot of women don't truly understand that their power is in their femininity. A real man don't want to pursue a woman with masculine energy. They want the feminine energy. Yeah, I just piggyback real quick on that.
Okay.
Femininity is sexy. It's classy. It's elegant. Natural femininity. I'm not talking about forced.
Right.
You know, trust me, if you want to put on a pair of Jordans and some jeans and go out, you can still be feminine.
Of course, definitely.
You know, you put a ball cap on. It ain't about being in heels, only in a dress. That's not it. But it's that true femininity brings peace to an environment. A woman with feminine energy can walk into a room with a bunch of arguing men, and they stop arguing because her presence walked into the room. I've seen it happen literally in a board meeting. So that's just, I mean, when you're operating your full feminine women, I'm telling you, you have, to me, they have more power with that than men do with masculine energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. So we're not even going to take a commercial break. We're going to go ahead and pivot to our Jerry Springer moment. All right. So, and by the way, this was such an amazing show. But if you want to continue to see other episodes of DBDS Live, we're available on Amazon Music, Podbean, Spotify, iHeart. So you can hear Anita, Patience, Carl, you know, provide you with the amazing advice that they have done today on our show. All right. So first, I'm coming to my sister Anita. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
I want the ladies to just be open to some of the things that they've heard. You know, I believe that's one of the greatest qualities that women can have is to be open and receptive, right? And even if you hear something, you don't agree with it, I just want you to be open, right? Just be open. Don't shut it down before even hearing what any of us had to say. Just be open to what you heard. And, just give it some thought. Give it some thought, mull it over, maybe talk to other women, maybe talk to some men about it, and just see how you can apply some of these things into your life. Yeah.
Thank you, my sister. And by the way, that's another attractive quality, being open.
Right.
All right. Coming to my sister Patience. I mean, what a phenomenal show.
Yeah,
What are your
definitely.
final thoughts for today's show?
Yeah, definitely. I think thank you for having us again. It was an amazing show. I'm learning a lot, definitely. I always do. But I think like Anita said and everything else, one of my thing will be, you know, I think the last one we just talked about, embracing your femininity, just being that feminine woman that you were created to be, and waiting for that man, to pursue you and be receptive to it. And again, if he's not the one, don't waste your time and don't chase. Just, he throw the ball there, catch it, throw it back, and let him pursue you. You know, just be open to being pursued, and again, move on if he's not the one. So that's how I feel.
Very well said. And here's the thing, my sisters. When you're in that natural feminine state, just want to throw this out there. You will attract the good and the bad brothers out there. So make sure that you're very selective as well. Very important. Coming to you, my brother Carl. Man, this show will be replayed throughout the week, man. I mean, what are your final thoughts, my man?
I think the biggest thing the sisters just said it, just be open and willing to hear something that's not the norm. Because I always tell people, if you've been doing the same thing for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years and it's not working and you're not finding the person that you've been looking for, don't blame God. Blame yourself. Just keep it real. Blame yourself. It's not God. God gave us free will to pick who we wanted to. He did. There's nobody in the Bible he ever assigned to be with someone except for Adam. He created Eve from. He took Eve. So that's it. There's nobody else. So if you're still single and you're going through stuff, be open. Be open to hearing something different and a different way of doing things, and not thinking that your way is the right way. Maybe it's just a matter of a small tweak. And then that puts you in a position and puts you like if you have a sharpshooter, you got that scope, something I did in the military. You line up that sight and you can take that target down. You can become his target with the right person by just making a small tweak, just by being open and willing to hear some different things. But, and if you don't understand, if you don't think you're feminine or you're not sure, ask someone. And I tell you, ask a man, not a male. Ask a man, not a male. That would really tell you, because some women may say, "Oh, you are," because they're competing for the same men you're trying to get, and they may not be honest with you. So I'm gonna leave it with that today.
Can I get an amen? Very well said, my brother. And before I provide you with my final thoughts, I just want to thank this amazing panel for sharing their wisdom, as well as their knowledge. Appreciate it. So I just want to finish off the state that, listen, you should always show desire and not desperation. And what I mean is that when you remain in your natural feminine state, the right man will seek you out based on your characteristic traits as well as your standards. You don't believe me? Look at my favorite movie, Coming to America, right? So it's not rocket science, as men prefer a woman to encourage him to be a man and allow him the gift of feeling masculine around her. All right. So once again, I want to thank this amazing panel and much love to the DBDS family.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Take it away, Mel.